Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 143. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we are talking about Marvel Rivals, Bungie Layoffs, Game Informer Shutdown, Marvel Studios at San Diego Comic-Con, and more. But as usual, we're going to start with our recent activities, and I will let Damian start first.
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of shit. I was able to finally get done all my schoolwork for the summer, so I have at least 3 weeks to just do shit. So I just wanted to finish up a bunch of stuff and a lot of things I kind of wanted to play, but I just didn't get around to it. So obviously I finally fucking finished Paper Mario. I started this when it came out, and then I took a month-long break from it because I was just busy. Then I finally came back to it and finished it up. So I finished it. It took me 40 hours. It's pretty long, but I also did do a lot of side content. And yeah, the game is great. I know this gets this is the best Mario RPG ever. And, I've always really loved Bowser's Inside Story. That was always my favorite Mario RPG. But now after getting to the end of this one, I'm I would need to replay Bowser's Inside Story because I think this might be my new favorite. I just really like a lot of the characters are a lot of fun. The gameplay is a lot of fun. I really like the badge system. You could do a lot with it. You could do a bunch of different builds and stuff. By the end game, I didn't do it throughout the story mode because I knew this build was broken. But you could basically make Mario's HP 5. But you can get a bunch of badges that make you do a shitload of damage when you're at low HP. So you can just one-shot everything. And I did that for the last optional dungeon because I'm why the fuck not? And it was really fun. You were doing 30 damage per jump, and it was insane. But yeah, overall, I thought the game was great. In terms of remake stuff, I can't really comment because I don't know what they changed. I think they changed a lot of the backtracking stuff. So there's a new warp zone you could go into to go to the different areas of the world, because there's one chapter, I think it's chapter 7, where you have to backtrack a shit ton. And apparently in the GameCube version, that was hell because you had to literally walk everywhere. And people hated that. But with this, you could just take warp pipes and it's fine. So I believe that was a big change. They also added the partner ring. So you could change partners on the fly, which is very helpful because there's a lot of enemies that you might want specific partners for, or some sort of overworld puzzle you have to do. So I know those were big improvements over the original GameCube version, but also just how the game looks, it's beautiful. I know it runs at 30 frames, but for a turn-based RPG, it doesn't really fucking matter. I'm not that much of a stickler for frame rates if it's of a genre where it doesn't really matter, as long as it looks nice. And Nintendo usually knows how to make 30 frames look really good. So yeah, I thought the game looked beautiful. It's just a really nice looking game. And like I said, combat is a ton of fun, and I really just hope that they take elements from Thousand Year Door and implement it to whatever the next new Paper Mario is. It doesn't have to be exactly like Thousand Year Door. It could take things from the newer games, maybe the exploration, or I guess more of the paper-y stuff, because they're really into that with the newer games. But I just want an actual battle system again. I know Origami King, the exploration and just how the game looks is beautiful, but the battle system still ain't it. So I just hope they just, take what Thousand Year Door did with its battle system with badges and level ups, and maybe apply some of that Origami King stuff to the overworld stuff. And I think you got a perfect Paper Mario game. So, I'm just happy Mario RPGs are back. We basically are gonna get 3 Mario RPGs in 12 months. We got the remake of RPG, we got this remake, and then we got the new Mario and Luigi game. So I can't complain anymore. It's been for years. I'm I want a new Mario RPG. Why aren't we getting any? And, Paper Mario sucks now, blah, blah, blah. But now I can't complain anymore. And it sold pretty well. I think they just released all the sales numbers for the last month or whatever. And Thousand Year Door has been doing pretty well. Not as good as Origami King, but that was also the first one that showed up on Switch. And usually when that happens, that's the one that sells more anyway. But either way, I'm happy it's selling pretty okay, and hopefully Nintendo takes this as a sign to bring back the RPG mechanics to your RPG series. That would be really nice. But yeah, overall, Thousand Year Door is really good, definitely worth the hype. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Next up is Luigi Mansion 2 HD. So I got this at Too Many Games for a little bit cheaper than usual. It was I think it was like 40 or 50. Yeah. I forget how much I got
45
it for.
or something.
Yeah, it was 45. I got it for a bit cheaper. So I'm fuck it, I'll get it. And it just came out too when we went there. So I'm yeah, sure. And I've always been really mixed on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I actually went to look at my 3DS before I started this to see like where I stopped, and I basically just did the first mansion and stopped playing the game. So, and honestly, I think I was like way too harsh on this game, because me playing it now on the Switch, I'm like, this game is good. Like, I know it feels a bit better because we have Luigi's Mansion 3 now, and that kind of goes back to what people actually want, being like, one, I guess, hotel in that game, and it's like you get to explore it. There's no missions or no multiple mansions or whatever. And I do think that is better for the series overall, but I actually do like what Luigi's Mansion 2 was doing. Obviously, it introduced all like the more modern mechanics, like sucking up ghosts, where you have like the sort of power bar, and then you could press A to like, I guess, suck them hard. I don't know how to phrase that, but it makes the combat a lot more fun. Like the gameplay is just better overall, obviously. Like I love Luigi's Mansion 1. Like I played that game a shitload of times. I love it so much. But, I have to admit, like, yeah, the gameplay in Luigi's Mansion 2 is just better. Like, there's just more stuff Luigi could do in general. Like, you could run. You could, your flashlight just feels a lot better. You have, like, the little, I forgot to call it, like, the dark light thing that you could use to, like, find invisible objects or whatever. So it makes for more, sort of puzzly elements to the game. And I honestly don't even mind the multiple mansions anymore. Like, I actually think it's a cool way to sort of, like, introduce new themings to an area and just make every mansion feel unique. The one thing I still don't like about this game, actually there's two things, but the first thing in terms of game structure is like sort of like the mission aspect of it, where like each mansion has like 5 missions and then a boss fight. I still don't really like that, because you're exploring the mansion and you got some new stuff and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go here, but after you do an objective, EGOT just yeets you out and then you have to like go back into the new mission. I still don't really like that very much. Like obviously that was because it's a portable system, so it's like, okay, each mission is like maybe 20 minutes and that's enough for like a car ride or whatever, and that's probably why they did it. But I feel like that's the only element of the game I still don't really like, because it just pulls you out of the action too much. I'm like, I just want to like stay in the mansion and that's it. Again, I'm fine with the multiple mansions, but I think taking you out of the action every so often is like kind of annoying. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm also not a big fan of just like, I guess just because it's different and it kind of kept it with Luigi's Mansion 3, but just like sort of like the art style and just atmosphere of the game is a lot, it's a lot more kiddie and cartoony, which is fine. Like I think the ghosts are a lot more expressive or whatever, but Luigi's Mansion 1 just had like a vibe of it that was just like a little more dark. Like it wasn't like, you're not going to piss your pants playing it or whatever, but it definitely had like more of that atmosphere that you would expect from like going into a haunted mansion or whatever. Like I think the portrait ghosts especially kind of sell on that a lot more. In this game, the ghosts are more just generic, like whatever ghost. So you just kill them and that's about it. So those are the two things I do kind of miss from Luigi's Mansion 1. But besides that, the game is great. In terms of like remake stuff, it doesn't really add a whole lot, but it honestly does look really good. Like it doesn't really sell you on it at first, because like it looks like when you do the cutscenes, it does look like a 3DS game. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a 3DS game on like a HD screen. It doesn't look very good. But once you're actually in the gameplay, it looks great. Like I'm like, oh wow, this looks really good. Like a lot of the textures, like they got updated. Luigi looks great. All his animations are like still insane for like a 3DS game. Like he's very expressive, and they carry that over to Luigi's Mansion 3 as well. So all that stuff is really good. And once you're actually in the game, I'm like, yeah, this looks really nice for like a 3DS port. Like they put more effort into it than I thought they were gonna do. But yeah, overall, I'm like really enjoying Luigi's Mansion 2. I'm happy I gave it another chance. I was pretty iffy if I was even gonna get this game or not, but I'm happy I did, because I'm really enjoying it. I'm not done yet. I need like 2 more mansions, I think. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. Next, I played some PS2 games, or I guess some PSP games. Chad's already talked about these before, but yep. Because he was talking about them, I'm like, now I want to play them. So after Size Matters, I'm like, let me play Daxter. Another favorite PSP game of mine as a kid. And I always remember it being really good. So I want to see if it held up, because the last time I played it was when I was a kid. Like I didn't play this game since I was like I don't fucking remember how old I was. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the game holds up extremely well. Like I really enjoyed this game, and unlike Size Matters, where I felt like an awkward gap between Ratchet 1 and 2, but like in terms of gameplay, and it just felt weird, this game feels like actually like a great step, after Jak 1, because it's still basically a pure platformer, but it introduces Haven City. You got more of the edgier elements to it, just a little bit. Like it's still like pretty E10, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But I think it introduces you to the new world world of Jack better than Jack 2 did, because it kind of just like, yeah, we're edgy now and shit. So, which is fine. I like that part of the Jack series, but like, I think this does a better job as a sort of like prequel sequel series to sort of ease you into the new world. I do like that. And in terms of gameplay, yeah, it's really fun. It's just like a pure platformer where you play as Daxter. You know, you hover with your little bug sprayer and then you platform through a bunch of levels. It's just a lot of fun. Like, yeah. And in terms of graphics, like the game is still very good looking for a PSP game. Even just in general, it's just a really good looking game. I remember this being like a big highlight of the game in general, just like how good it looked. And yeah, it really holds up even today. I know it got like, you know, it looks better because of the HD stuff with the emulator or whatever, but it's a great looking game. And that's something Naughty Dog has always been obviously really good. I know Naughty Dog didn't make it, but, you know, I guess in terms of like their IP, it's just like the games have to look fucking good. Even like the Jack games look like really good for the PS2, right? So I'm happy that translated over really well to the PSP. And yeah, I guess my only complaint with the game is I think it does loses a bit of steam towards the end, just because it's like you kind of run out of things to introduce to Daxter. Like you got all the upgrades you can, so the levels like you just kind of keep doing them, and that's about it. I think they probably could cut 1 or 2 levels to keep it a bit shorter, but because it took me like 7 hours to beat it, and I got the plat as well, which wasn't hard at all. But yeah, I think, you know, you get your money's worth, I guess, at the time, but it's like, I think they could have cut 1 or 2 levels because some of them felt kind of filler. But the last bit where it's kind of cool when you're going to the prison, saving Jack, and you have to avoid Crimson Guards and shit, that's really cool. But yeah, overall, Daxter is still really good. I really enjoyed that game a lot, and I'm happy I decided to replay it. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely forgot when the villain turned into a bug himself. I was like, you know what?
I remember that.
We're just throwing all logic out the window, but
he was a metalhead. Like, I mean, like, it's cool to also introduce like some characters from Jack 3, or I guess one character from Jack 3, Vigor. Like, he shows up talking to Earl, like, we got to use light eco and shit. So that's kind of cool. And use light eco at the end of the game as well. Like, you destroy those like light eco things and the time freezes like in Jack 3. That was really cool. I forgot about that. So they do some things to connect the games, but also the game does end very abruptly. It's like, that's how I saved Jack, and then it just ends. Like, okay. So, but yeah, overall, really good game. I really enjoyed Daxter. Next was Sly 1. I also decided to replay Sly 1 because I'm like, fuck it, might as well do all the games that came out on the PSN stuff. So I mostly want to talk about the emulation because, you know, Sly 1 is very good. Like, I really like Sly 1, but the emulation is pretty disappointing because it really is just like, oh yeah, it's a PS2 game. Here you go. Yep. It doesn't really do a lot. It doesn't really widescreen. It doesn't really make the resolution any better. It legit is, here's Sly 1. Maybe it looks a bit better than on the PS2, but that's about it. Like, there you go. So it's a little lame that they don't like make it widescreen or don't fix up the resolution or whatever, but I know PS2 games are kind of hard to emulate in general. Like, if they do bring Ratchet and Clank, that'd be a miracle, just because I know those games are like really hard to emulate, because Insomniac did like everything they could with those games to make them work on the PS2, and they did a lot of weird shit. So hopefully we get Ratchet on here at some point, but it makes sense why they want to keep the emulation simple, just to make sure the game works and, you know, is playing as intended. Because, you know, when they ported these games to the PS3, you know, Sly kind of was fine. Like, Sly didn't really have a lot of problems, but Jack and Ratchet especially Ratchet, had a lot of issues going on to the PS3 when they ported it. So that's probably why they want to keep it more just like the PS2 versions. But you know, in terms of Sly 1, it's very good. I'm a Sly 1 enjoyer. I really do enjoy the more simple, just platforming action. Obviously, 2 is like the best one, but I still really enjoy playing Sly 1. It's definitely the easiest to just pick up and play. It's also very short. I don't know, because I played the game a few times already, so I know what's happening. But like, I beat it in like 4 hours. I'm like, I forgot this game was short as shit. And then I got the plat, because why not? And it took me like 6 hours to do that. So, but yeah, the game is still great. You know, just pure platformer fun. You know, I hope they put Sly 2 and 3. I'd love to play Sly 2 again. You know, Sly 3, I do like Sly 3, but that pirate level does take fucking forever.
Yes.
But yeah, I got Sly 1, great game still. Definitely always enjoy playing that game. I love it.
Did you use the rewind stuff at all?
Yeah, I did. Okay. So there was a lot of times where I'm like, either I miss a clue bottle or I just die for some dumb shit. I'm like, I could just rewind. Yeah. I have nothing to prove. I beat this game like 3 times, right?
The rewind is probably the best part of the PlayStation emulation stuff. So
it's like, because you could do a lot of dumb shit where it's just like, could I do this? And then you die. And I'm like, oh, I guess not. Then you just rewind. Yeah. So obviously it's a godsend for like size matters. With
Oh,
some
yes.
things.
I'll talk about that later. Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, overall, Sly 1's still great. Hopefully to put the rest of them on there. Apparently we're supposed to get Secret Agent Clank next because it got leaked. Like some people got emails accidentally from Sony saying Secret Agent Clank was going to be next. And then like they didn't follow up on it. So I guess we'll see when that happens. All right, next, I was very lucky to be able to get a Marvel Rivals beta key, and I played it, and it's good. I actually do like it. So, first of all, I would be a real hypocrite if I don't say this, where it's like, because I gave shit to Concord for basically being an Overwatch clone. This is like legit just an Overwatch clone. Like it's just straight up Overwatch. Like everything about it is just Overwatch. You got payload, you got capture points. Like it's Overwatch with Marvel characters, and it's in third person, but unlike Concord, I do think this game does have like some sauce to it, like it got some spice. And the reason why I say this is, one, obviously it's Marvel characters, so you just feel more attached in general. That was a big point I made when talking about Concord, was like, I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. Like it's just like none of them, I look at them, I'm like, I want to play that, like Overwatch like immediately jumps at you because the art style is so nice and a lot of characters are really appealing. Like, oh, I want to play as that guy, I want to play as that weirdo, like you just get that immediate connection to those characters and you want to play it. And I think that's very important for a hero shooter. And this game is with Marvel characters, so that's basically like cheating, because it's like, yeah, I want to play fucking Rocket, like I want to play Star-Lord, you just feel instantly attached to these characters, and people like insta-lock Iron Man, right? Because it's like, yeah, of course. So I think it wins out on that. And just like the general presentation of the game is just very nice. Like the art style is great. Like I absolutely love all the character designs in Marvel Rivals. Like it just looks really nice. A lot of the effects look really cool. The game just has like just a lot of extra little details that makes the game really pop. And I'm just surprised it's in beta. Like it honestly feels like something that could come out right now, but they're always saving that for later. But definitely the art style is also a huge strength of this game. Like it looks really nice. I think the maps also look really nice. In terms of gameplay of the maps, like they're just very Overwatch. Like one of them feels like, I forgot the fucking name of the map, but it basically feels like a copy of an Overwatch map. So again, in terms of originality, like it's not really winning out there. Like a lot of character kits are just, they're not direct ripoffs of Overwatch characters, but they take so many elements from them. So I'm going to use Star-Lord for an example. So his dodge roll is basically just McCree's dodge roll. Like it's like the same thing. You reload at the end of it, like just like McCree. His guns are just tracer guns. Like he even reloads the fucking same. Like has a small clip and everything. He has like a baby form of Reaper's Death Blossom, his ultimate, as like one of his abilities. And his ultimate is just Soldier 76 ult. Like he just gets aimbot and he could fly. So like, and all the characters are kind of like that, where they just take little bits and pieces of Overwatch characters and kind of mix them into their own. Some of them have more unique abilities. Like I think Spider-Man's like obviously pretty unique because like how you're supposed to do that in like a, like you can't really copy that from Overwatch, right? You have to just make Spider-Man. So and I only really got to play a few characters. Like I tried all of them out on the practice range, but in terms of actually playing the game, I just played Rocket a lot, who's actually a healer. So they actually do some really interesting stuff where a lot of popular heroes aren't just DPS, because you gotta spread out the love a little bit. So like Hulk is a tank, like Rocket is a healer, Loki's also a healer. So like they try and make, Venom is a tank as well. Like they try and make it so like people actually play the other roles and put popular heroes on it, which I think is smart. And I think I think what Overwatch did was make all the roles really fun to play as well. So like, like most people don't want to play tank or healer because it's just like, oh, that's boring as shit. Like I want to kill stuff. But I think Overwatch did a good job making it so like you feel like you're like actually doing damage and like killing people even as those roles. And I think this game does as well. Like Rocket could kill people. Like he has like a minigun, but he goes to heal. He basically, his right click throws like little Moira balls that heal people, and his left click is just a minigun. So a lot of people try to like pick me off, and I could just kill them. So like I don't know how balanced that is, but like it does feel good to be able to actually like defend yourself as a healer. And Rocket's just fun as shit too. Like you could just like, you could dash around everywhere. You could throw off this little like respawn point so people could respawn back to the fight. Like he's a lot of fun. And sort of like the last big mechanic I want to touch on that makes it different from Overwatch is the team up mechanic. So Concord also tried to do something like this, but it sucks because it's like you have to like put heroes on a reserve and then you get like passive bonuses, and it's like very confusing. With this game, it's just like, oh, you got Rocket and Groot together. Now Rocket has a new ability where you can ride on Groot's shoulders and you get like a bunch of like damage reduction. And that's just fun. Like I'm just like on Groot's shoulders, like just shooting people and shit. Like it feels cool. Or you can have Venom, Peter and Penny. You can have all three of them together, and then I think Peter gets like a symbiote power or something. Like he like kind of does like a big AoE attack with like his black suit or whatever. And you don't get that unless you team up with the proper characters. And I think that's really cool. Like it really adds like some cool spice to the gameplay as well. But yeah, the game is pretty fun. It's not balanced at all though. Like, like I'm sure like it's just a mess of shit. Like it's a 6v6. So like things are just all over the place. Like I don't know how anyone can play this competitively. Like this is definitely a for fun, like just shit on people type game. Like
don't
it's
worry,
definitely
bro.
not.
People are going to try.
Yeah, people are going to try. Like, it's like Fortnite where I'm like, I can't see playing this game competitively just because it's so wacky. But I do like that. Those are the type of shooters I like just because it's just fun to play. And Marvel Rivals is definitely that. So, if you're not really into like a whole competitive mindset and just want to beat some people up as like Marvel characters, then this game is perfect for that. But we still don't have a release date. It's coming out at some point. So the closed beta is going on for a little bit longer and then it's going to close. But yeah, overall, I think it's pretty fun. I've been enjoying it. So yeah.
Have you encountered Jeff the Land Shark?
No. Wait, is he out?
I don't know. But all I know is that people were like, he's fucking broken or whatever. So I guess.
Okay, because they announced him, but I think they put him in. I think Thor got put into it. I didn't play like a week. So
okay.
I do need to try it out again. But I think he's a healer as well. He like throws healing bubbles or something. Yeah. I think he could eat you. He's like Tom Kench. Like, he could like eat someone. I think he goes to eat teammates too. So yeah, I don't know if Tom Kench could do that. I forget, but yeah, he can
do
eat
both.
People.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I know about that. But yeah, overall, I think it's a fun game. I think once it actually comes out, I think it'll be a fun game to play with the boys. Just like have fun. That's about it. Like, yeah, I'm just hoping NetEase kind of sucks as a developer because they're like very greedy with stuff. So hopefully they could keep their greed down. And I think they have a really like popular hero shooter on their hands. So we'll see when it actually comes out.
Yeah, because I'm tired of playing Overwatch too. Help me.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's just something different too. Like it's just something like it's bullshit, but you can have fun with it. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
All right, and lastly, I play TMNT Splintered Fate. So me and Travis could talk about this because Travis was talking about it last time, and he's done his video on it. So, but for me personally, I think the game is very good. I think it's a really good roguelite. It takes a lot from Hades. Like when you were explaining it, I'm like, that sounds like Hades.
Yes.
Me playing it, I'm like, oh, this is just Hades, but with TMNT. But I say that as like kind of a good thing because there's a lot of games that copy other popular roguelites, and they just like don't really get it. I think this game does get how the general combat of Hades was supposed to work. Like everything feels very impactful. I think the bosses are a lot of fun to fight. The only issue I really have with the combat, I have two issues. One, I think armored enemies are a little too strong. Like I know you could get some upgrades to like destroy armor faster, but Jesus Christ, like some of those Baxter Stockman robots, like the big laser guys.
Oh, yes.
Like take fucking forever. I'm like, okay, we could chill on the armor. Like in Hades, it works the same way in this game. Like armored enemies don't take hit stun, so they could just keep hitting you. And that's fine. Like Hades does the same thing. But, they usually die pretty okay. Like, they take a bit longer than a normal enemy. But here they're like a boss. Like, they take so long to kill. So I definitely think they could chill on like how much health armored enemies have. And it'll be fine. Like, I think them not taking hit stun is enough of like a incentive. Like, that's enough power for them. Like, we don't need to add like a bajillion HP to them. Second is, I think I've gotten a bit better at this, but I still think enemy tells are kind of hard to read because the screen is pretty zoomed out because, it's supposed to be played multiplayer. So I understand that. But Hades, the screen is a lot more zoomed in, so you could tell when enemies are going to do stuff. I feel like in this game, I get blindsided a lot more from like Foot Clan soldiers and stuff. Like the Stockman robots are easy to tell because they shoot giant lasers or whatever. But I feel like for some of the ninja enemies or the punk frogs or whatever, like sometimes I just think it's kind of hard to tell in the chaos and how zoomed out things are when I'm going to get hit. And I feel like I get hit for like a shit ton of damage. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. So, but I kind of do the Hades thing where I dash everywhere. Pro tip, if you're going to play this game, just buy all your dashes. It's like so fucking important. Like dashes are always really important in these games, but it's like even more important in this game. Like you really need your dashes. But, yeah, but that in terms of that, like I think the combat is great overall. Like I think the different power ups you get feel pretty balanced. I really like Ooze. Ooze was really fun. You just basically do like poison damage. That was how I won my first run as Donatello. Actually, Donatello. I played every turtle, and I think Donatello is like actually pretty good. Like if you're building him for more utility based stuff instead of like raw damage, he's really good. Like I basically took like no damage the whole run because his default like shield ability is pretty nice, and I just built him for poisoned. So like I didn't even have to hit too hard. I just hit them a few times with my stick and ran away. So it was really good. But I also really like, I basically like all the characters. Like I think Mikey's really fun. You know, a lot of AoE on him, really fast attack. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but you know, you have a bunch of AoE. Raph does a bunch of crit damage and shit. I don't really like his special that much, like his little like claw attack, because I feel like you just die using it.
Yeah,
like,
you kind of just sit there. Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of that. Leo's good. He's just the all-arounder. I haven't used him too much. I've been using the other ones more. But overall, I think the characters all feel pretty different and fun to play. And I think all the sort of like upgrades you get also feel pretty distinct, like of what builds you could get. Like I know there's like you could combine elements together. I haven't done that, but the loading tip says you can. So like if you get like water and like fire, I think something happens. But I haven't really tried that. I've mostly been sticking to like one element. Which has mostly just been ooze and fire. Like I like fire a lot as well. You get like the meteor tool and it like kills everything.
Yes.
Yeah. The meteor thing is a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm really impressed with the voice acting and just like the art in general.
Yes.
Like I think like the voice acting has been very solid. Like I've been actually really like I wouldn't say invested, but I have been like, you know, like, yeah, I want to see what's happening in this story, you know, like I think it's pretty interesting. And just the voice acting really sells it. I think each turtle does a great job, you know, voicing their turtle and like how it would I imagine them sounding like. So yeah, they do a really good job with that. And that's sort of like the other part of the Hades DNA it really took and I think did really well was having really good dialogue and just like you want to talk to these NPCs, which Hades does like really well. So yeah, honestly, just a really good roguelite. You know, if you're into TMNT, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're into Hades. I think you would like this as well. Obviously, when comparing it to Hades, is going to be, you know, it's going to be a little less than Hades because, you know, that game is like, you know, like a 10 out of 10 roguelite. But yeah. I think it does take all the good things from that game and does its own thing with it and add the turtles to it. So overall, I think it's a pretty good roguelite. I only beat Shredder once. You know, I haven't really done the whole true final boss thing yet. Maybe I'll do it, but honestly, Shredder was probably the easier boss of all of them. Like,
yeah.
He took forever, but his attack pattern was very predictable. So like he actually wasn't even that bad. So, but yeah, the game overall, really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who is still stuck on the second run, I haven't even tried to pick it back up again. The game gets much harder because I don't know if you saw, but they introduced like those like portals that add like the different conditions that you could do like the high risk, high reward kind of thing. And if you don't take the portals, they're gonna not pop up as less. But even then, the run gets harder overall. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you found a different turtle and also a different sort of element that really fit with your playstyle. So it really did confirm my theory where like you could pick any turtle, you could pick any sort of build, and there's going to be multiple ways to play and finish the game. Because the way I did is that I picked Leonardo and I did the ninja build where pretty much a bunch of shurikens just fly everywhere, and I was just able to get damage off that way, and that was a lot of fun. Obviously on my second run, I'm fucking struggling on goddamn Leatherhead, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, you know, this is a great roguelite. I was very surprised by my review, not only just doing well on YouTube, but I think the CEO and the fucking top honcho at the development team commented on my review to correct me on certain things and, you know, help me out. So for one thing, the game does run at 60 frames, maybe not 100% of the time, but it does run at 60. I pretty sure I said 30 in my review, and I was like, oopsies, because it felt like that it was running at 30 at times, because the frame rate would always drop when like too much is going on screen, especially during the second run, because they throw like so many fucking enemies at you. Like if you thought Karai was hard, like during like your first like third run, she's like insanely difficult because she switches up from like flame to now like the shadow stuff, and that obviously just does a lot more damage. And I'm like, I'm like dying here with like 2 HP, no splinter revives or anything. But yeah, you know, for like my first like big roguelike experience, I definitely had a lot of fun here. And also just like the presentation. I'm glad that they really invested a lot into making the game look good, making the turtles, you know, within those like cutscenes, if you will, like look presentable. And obviously the voice acting. Yeah, fucking Yuri Lowenthal as Michelangelo, Roger Craig Smith as Raphael. It's like, okay, yeah, like I'm sold already. And then obviously everyone else within the cast itself sounds like who you think they would sound like Shredder sounds like Shredder, April sounds like April, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, it is $30, so it is a little bit high in terms of like a indie game, but I feel like you are getting like a pretty good experience here. So if you haven't played a roguelite before, you know, definitely try this one out. Or if you just want to go straight to the top, you could just play Hades because obviously everyone praises Hades.
Yeah, I mean, like Hades is basically just this game, but you know, if you want a TMNT flavor to it, you know, I know that's a big draw. You know, if it's a thing you care about, then you're gonna want to play it more, obviously. But yeah, and I do think you get a lot of content for $30. Like, you know, the game has a lot of stuff. There's a lot of permanent upgrades you could grind for, and it seems like they do want you to grind for that if the game gets harder. It's like you know, you're supposed to die a lot. But yeah, I do. You know, I do want to play more runs of it and see how far I could get and see if I could get to that final boss. Because I knew it wasn't going to just end with Shredder. I'm like, okay, there's going to be the secret boss or whatever. So, but yeah, and hopefully it does get ported to other stuff because the performance is pretty shaky. Like, it is 60, yes, but it is pretty, like, it does drop a lot. So I do hope it goes on to, like, PS5 or PC or whatever. And then,
yeah,
you know,
it is coming to Steam later this year, actually.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, if we want to play something with more stable frame rate, I think it'll be better to get it on there. But right now it's selling pretty well. Like I checked the eShop a few days ago, and it was like number 3 or something.
Oh really?
So
okay.
Yeah, it was selling really well, surprisingly. So I'm sure it was getting a lot of good word of mouth. Because when I bought it on the eShop, it was like number like 14 or something. But it like shot up like really high out of nowhere. I don't know if some streamer played it or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
it was all me. It was all me. What can I say? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
But yeah, overall, really good roguelite. I really enjoy it. From the roguelite man, I give it a thumbs up. It's good.
All right, so the other game I've been playing, I finished Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. And it pretty much confirmed that, yeah, this is like bottom 5 Ratchet and Clank game. Maybe even like bottom 2. I'm not sure yet. But I got through the rest of it, obviously. I got to the part where pretty much, what's her name, pretty much revealed herself officially and everything like that. And the game speeds up so much after that. Because pretty much right after that, you get to the factory with like the Ratchet clones and everything like that. I'm like, did they like run out of budget for like different enemy types? And then you face the other kinds of Ratchets with like the buff Ratchets and like the one that looks kind of weird. I'm like, okay, so they didn't run out of money for other Ratchets. They just used like the basic. Anyways, and then like the main villain, he's just like running away and everything. I don't know. The story's fucking weird to begin with. And then the gameplay just got much worse as I kept playing because obviously like they have way too many like side missions and like mini games. Like they have way too many because I wanted to do all of them to like get the bolts, but you know, I was just like at a certain point I was like, all right, I'm done. Like I have enough for the shield, the rocket, and like that's about it. And then I bought that laser gun because I kind of needed it for the final boss.
Yeah, the laser is very good,
because everything else was like not working, even though I stand there and like use the goddamn laser, like it chunked out so much of his health. I was like, okay, yeah, like good thing I bought this because
I told you to buy it. It's really good.
And also that is also where the rewind came into play because at a certain point, as I was playing the boss, I ran out of bolts for fucking ammo. So then I just rewind back a little bit further to where I had enough bolts and then, you know, just re-upped everything and then just head back into it. But yeah, I remember playing that final boss fight in the car during like some sort of road trip or whatever. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like this boss fight makes me want to kill myself. This is not fun. But I think it being on the PlayStation 4/5 with the whole rewind stuff definitely makes it a lot better, a lot more tolerable, I will say, because playing through the second part of the board races was definitely not fun. I was like, okay, yeah, like I fucked up this turn. I don't know what happens when you respawn, but I'm not testing it, so I just kept rewinding over and over again. But yeah, definitely if I had to play those on the original PSP without dying a single time, I actually might have offed myself because that was definitely super duper difficult for like no fucking reason because the controls are terrible and everything like that. And then the other Clank side mission stuff is just like, it's whatever. Like it's very like not fun to play through, but it's also like not super terrible either. You know, it is what it is. I think that this is a Ratchet and Clank game that if you want to humble your Ratchet and Clank taste, you should definitely play this one to be like, okay, like this is where like the bottom of it is, and then everything else will like be better in comparison, you know?
I just don't know, like, yeah, I think if, like I said before, I think they could have taken away like all the racing, they could have taken away some of the Clank stuff, and they could have just added another Ratchet planet. And that would have been fine. Or they could have added just a regular arena. Like, I don't know why they added this Clank shit to begin with. Like, it could have just been an arena so you could level up your guns more. Because I feel like there's so few places to actually get bolts. Everything costs like $1 bajillion. And since there's so few planets, it's hard to level up any of your weapons either. So I feel like it just makes the end game like a lot harder. Obviously, I already knew going in, like I know this game, so I'm like, okay, I know how to beat auto. Like it's not that big of a deal for me. Even then, I still died and rewinded because I'm like, fuck that. It was literally at the end of the fight, I was getting lazy, so I was just like, okay, so I just rewind whatever. But even then, I knew what to buy and what to avoid or whatever. But obviously, you shouldn't have that in the game to begin with. Like, just don't buy most of the weapons because they suck ass. Like, save all your weapons till the end, or save all your bolts till the end to get the only 3 weapons that actually matter in this game. So, yeah, again, I it's obviously still in like the bottom. Like, if I had to have like a bottom 5 Ratchet games, it's probably like, I think the worst Ratchet game is still like, what the fuck? Full Frontal Assault. That game is really bad. Like, it'll be like Full Frontal Assault, probably this game, probably Secret Age of Clank, then this game, then All For One. And yeah, that's probably like the bottom 4 I could think of. I actually kind of like All For One. I kind of like, there's redeeming qualities about all the games because I'm a fucking shill for this series. So I'm obviously going to be like, I still like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, like, I would never complain to someone being like, oh, this game is good actually. Because I'm like, yeah, I understand. So yeah, I still enjoy the game. I enjoy some of the unique stuff it tries to do.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it was still like amazing having a Ratchet game on the go. Like I never really like complained about it or whatever because I'm like, it's a Ratchet game on the go. That's amazing. But obviously now I see so many flaws with it that it's hard to overlook. Also, the Rhino fucking sucks in this game. I grinded like 10 million because you have to get it for the fucking platinum, which I got because I platted every Ratchet game. But you have to grind like 10 million bolts. And then you get it and it fucking sucks. Like the laser is like way better. So yeah, it's whatever. So I do think like, if you are a Ratchet fan, play it, see what you think of it, because it is a pretty diverse, some people like it, some people hate it. More people hate it now though. But yeah, I definitely recommend playing it just to, like Travis said, to humble yourself a little bit. So yeah.
It's only $10, so if you never played it before, this is probably the best way to do it. I would definitely not invest into a PSP and try to play it on original hardware there, because, like I said, the emulation features go a long way, especially with this game.
Yeah.
I've been watching some movies and also one anime. So the first one, Twisters. If you guys want to check out my Letterboxd, letterboxd.com/tvsonic. I've been doing a lot of movie watching this year. According to my account, I did 44 movies this year, so that's kind of crazy. Anyways.
Goddamn.
Twisters. This is a movie that has been playing before every single trailer that I see at AMC theaters, and I was like, hey, fuck it, I'll see it, because people are actually saying it's pretty good. So this the original movie Twister was the first one to start like the whole like disaster movie trend. So I didn't know any of that, and then this is like a sequel to it. So yeah, and it's pretty good. It has Glenn Powell, who's been on a pretty good resurgence in terms of like this year as like the next Hollywood superstar. And then it also stars Daisy Edgar Jones, who I didn't really know much of, but now within this movie, I'm sure that she's going to get a lot more roles. But pretty much it's about these group of people who are chasing after tornadoes and just documenting them, trying to figure out how they form, how to stop them, and all this other stuff. The movie has a lot more heart and a lot more compelling characters than I really expected, if I'm gonna be honest, just because just watching the trailer, it just seemed like dumb stupid fun, and I was like, all right, sure, whatever. But it actually has like a pretty good story, even though some of it is like a little bit predictable and whatnot. I still had a great time watching it. I want to see it in 4DX, which I am next month, because it is coming back to it. I don't know if you saw the TikToks even, but people are literally just like rocking in their fucking chairs.
Did I ever tell you the time? I forgot what My Hero movie it was, but I think it was the second My Hero or the first My Hero movie. I bought 4DX tickets by accident, and me and my brother sat down because we thought it was gonna be whatever. I didn't even know what the fuck 4DX is, but I bought it. I don't know why I bought it. And we sat down, and the first scene where I think All Might's doing shit, the seat moving, like, what the fuck was that? And then it fucking, like, shook the shit out of us. Like, what is going on? It was hilarious. We were just laughing because we didn't know what to think. But yeah, that sounds fun. I'm sure Twisters with 4DX sounds, like, kind of amazing.
Yes.
Actually, I have watched the original Twisters, and that movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. Like, I was terrified of Twisters because of that movie. Like, the opening scene, like, where the guy is, like, in the fucking cellar and then he opens and gets fucking sucked from the tornado in the beginning of the first one. I'm like, that always scared the shit out of me as a kid. So, like, yeah, when they were making a sequel and it was actually unironically good, I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll watch it at some point. But
yeah, I mean, the tornadoes and like the natural disaster stuff, they off-rip, they make you terrified of these fucking things because they are like so big and bombastic. And like one of the quotes from the trailer is like, twins, there's fucking twins, because there's like two tornadoes forming or whatever, and like that does happen obviously. And yeah, the natural disaster stuff is still peak. And yeah, if you want to see a good old fun time movie, you should definitely see Twisters. And if you want to have a once in a lifetime film experience, also see it in 4DX. It is coming back to select theaters next month, so get your tickets now, because after that they're probably not going to bring it back. Because I was kind of sad that they didn't have it in longer, but then again, Deadpool and Wolverine came out, which I will talk about now. So before I went into this movie, I rewatched Logan and also Deadpool 1. Rewatching Logan is very helpful, or watching it is very helpful, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have never watched Logan before, because obviously in comparison to like the other Marvel movies in general, it didn't do as well, just because people were like, oh, it's another fucking X-Men movie, whatever. But Logan is like one of my top 5 favorite live action comic book movies ever, and my girlfriend didn't see it, so I was like, all right, great, this is like a fantastic opportunity to show her that movie. And that film is still great. 10 out of 10, loved it. It still has a lot of heart to it, and really does close Hugh Jackman's role as Wolverine there, and sort of that version of the character or whatever. Deadpool 1 is still good. I still think some of the jokes don't land, but then again, I'm fucking laughing at them still because I'm a goddamn idiot, because Reddit humor and stupid sex jokes or whatever, it's still funny. And then Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not going to spoil anything because Damian hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, next podcast, I promise.
He has somehow dodged all of these spoilers that I've seen on Twitter. But yeah, it is a fantastic movie. There's a lot of writing and continuity errors that I definitely noticed my second time watching it, just because, at that point it had been almost a week since I saw it. So I saw a lot of people talking about it and sort of, having problems with it. And then I remember it's a fucking comic book movie. Comic books are never nice, clean, crystal clear writing ever. So the fact that this movie also has like continuity writing issues, I'm like, all right, sure. But like, I'm going to still go along with that ride. And I had a fantastic, fun time with it. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds as the Merc with the Mouth is great. Hugh Jackman coming back was definitely a big scare for me, because like I said, I love Logan. I love what that film did for that character. But the fact that it is like a variant and sort of like a different version of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman still brings his A game. And obviously seeing that classic suit on him was like fantastic. This is definitely the most fun I've had within a theater experience so far. And obviously seeing it a second time really did confirm that, because the first time, funny story, Damian, Emma, my girlfriend, she accidentally booked it for fucking IMAX 3D, because we walked in and then we give her our tickets. She gives us 3D glasses, and then she's like, why the fuck did she give us 3D glasses? And then I was like, Emma, did you book it for 3D? And then she's like, oh shit, I did. But granted, that was like the only time like after work that I was available, because I didn't want to see it within standard. So I was like, okay, I guess the first time I'm watching this is with fucking dumbass 3D glasses. But the 3D was actually like not that bad. The last time I saw a 3D movie was actually with you, Damian. It was fucking Toy Story 3.
Holy shit, really? You didn't even watch Avatar in like 3D?
I don't think so.
Wow.
But
Crazy.
Yeah, seeing it in 3D was actually not that bad. But obviously seeing it a second time within standard 2D Dolby cinema was obviously fantastic as well. So yeah, it's a great time. I think people that are sort of complaining and sort of high and mighty and saying this movie's bad or whatever, that's their opinion. Me personally, I just had a fantastic time, and I'm obviously going to watch it a third time just to refresh myself before we talk about it more in depth on the next podcast, because there's a lot of great and fantastic things to talk about within the film.
Hell yeah.
And then the last thing I watched randomly, because I'm like, I want to get back into anime. Fuck it. So I've decided to, I looked through my Annie list and I saw that I had Nagatoro. I had Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro Season 2. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let me just go back to my roots and finish this show, because I watched like the first 4 episodes and then I just dropped it. But then I picked it back up and I just binge watched the rest of it. And yeah, it's still wholesome, cute, funsy, slice of life bullshit shenanigans. I think this season definitely has a lot more character progression, because it's sort of like, Nagatoro and Senpai, they kind of like each other, but obviously they don't say that directly to each other because they're fucking high schoolers or whatever. But it's still cute. It's still fun.
It ended? The manga ended.
Yes, the manga did end, and also with some other teasing mangas that I have been reading, but I definitely need to catch up on all that shit. But yeah, if they do make a season 3 of this show, maybe they'll explore some of the later stuff. I'm not exactly sure if there is a season 3 announcement yet. I'm not sure or whatever, but yeah, if you like what you saw within season 1 or read or whatever, this is definitely a pretty good adaptation of it. Obviously, the animation is going to be, the most fantastical thing ever, because it's a slice of life. It's whatever.
Yeah, I really need to catch up on anime too. I was just like, with all the My Hero stuff going around, like I really need to like catch up with this shit. I still haven't finished Attack on Titan. I didn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Like I'm so behind. Like I really need to. There's just been a lot of games. Like obviously, I can only devote myself to so much shit at once. So I definitely do want to make some time for anime though. So maybe I'll do that, but we'll see.
All right, so let's get into the news, which is not that great in terms of...
No, it's all bad.
Yeah, it's all bad news. So the first one is one that we missed a while ago, but it was announced or sort of reported, if you will, that Riot Games canceled a Smash Brothers style fighting game codename called Pool Party. So it was going to be like Melee. This wasn't going to be like a funsy sort of Smash Brothers clone, but I believe it was because of the failure of Multiverses that Riot decided to pull out. And then there was also a shift within like development, like they thought about including like fun party modes to it, you know, like casual friendly mechanics and all this other stuff. So, you know, there was definitely a lot of things going on that they didn't exactly know what to do with this Smash Brothers clone, that they just ended up dropping it. I don't think Riot has formally come forward and actually said that this project existed, but yeah, I mean, you know, Riot Games, say what you will about them. You know, they created probably the most toxic game on the planet called League of Legends, and then they created another toxic game called Valorant, but I still like them. I still play them quite often. You know, say what you will about Valorant being like CSGO for kids with, you know, abilities and whatnot, but that's pretty much what it is. But it is very well made. Obviously, both Riot Games have like spaghetti code and all this other stuff. I'm fucking getting on a tangent here, but they make good games. Like that is like the main bottom line of it. People have tried out TXKO, which is their 2v2 fighting game, and people have said very, very good things about that. So, you know, with this cancellation, obviously people are sad because like it's like there actually could have been like a competitive Smash Brothers clone platformer fighter that actually would have been on a pretty good scale, because obviously Riot is very, very good about putting on like these big esports events. You know, Valorant is on its second run with the whole world championship that's going on right now. So, you know, people had hopes that, you know, Riot could have saved them from Nintendo Smash Brothers hell if they were to actually make a pretty good successor to that. But it looks like Multiverses has scared them away.
Yeah, you know, like you were saying with Riot, like, I think they're always good. Like, I don't think Riot has ever really made anything like super original ever. Usually they take something that's like they see potential in and then really refine it to make it something really popular. Like, you know, with the MOBA, with League of Legends, you know, that was like obviously a Warcraft 3 mod, and then they made it into League of Legends, into something like that's, you know, people will actually play. Well, that's not fair. You know, a lot of people play Dota 1, but you know what I'm saying. Same with Valorant. It's like, oh, let's just take CSGO and maybe put some hero shooter elements to it and make Valorant. You know, they've been really good. They're like the opposite of Blizzard, where Blizzard back in the day would basically make a genre and then make it genre defying. Like, you know, things like WoW, like MMOs existed, but WoW like really changed the game. Same thing with StarCraft. Like RTSs existed before that, but they totally changed how the genre was defined and stuff. And Riot is kind of similar to that. So it's kind of sad we're not going to see that sort of, you know, vision for like a Smash Brothers clone, right? And I think Multiverses failing is kind of like I don't think that's necessarily like they shouldn't have looked at it like that. It should have been like, oh, what could we do better that Multiverses didn't do well? Because I think there is a market for Smash Brothers clones that are like more competitive focused. You know, like Smash Brothers is like one of the biggest fighting games ever still. But, you know, I guess the executives didn't see it like that. It's like, oh, we have to add more party elements because that's why Multiverses failed or something. And, you know, I think they'll try. You know, I think Riot at its core is usually more competitive focus anyway. So I feel like that would have been like out of left field for that, for like a lot of developers working on it. I said in this article, like a lot of developers weren't really happy with that more casual direction, since Riot at its core is a more competitive, you know, centric game developer, right? Like just make games that are like that. So it kind of sucks we won't see this vision, because I think the League of Legends IP is like very strong to like make a character, a platform fighter like this. Like I think it could have done really well, but maybe they also saw that would have like cannibalized a bit with Project L or 2KK, whatever it's called now. So like whatever. There's probably like a lot of things going on where this just wasn't a viable project, but still sucks, because as someone that's more into platform fighters and regular fighters, you know, it kind of sucks that that's just how it is, right? So it would have been cool to see their take on something like on a Smash Brothers game, but it looks like Multiverses fucked up more than one game, so there you go. Very unfortunate. Next up in the sad news, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. A lot of people were wondering where was the 2024 game for Paris. Well, it looks like that's not happening ever because it looks like these games are no longer being made. So the last game, Tokyo, was going to be the last Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games because the Olympics committee, decided they want to chase NFTs and esports instead of making other projects. And obviously that line has made people really angry. And I think one of the developers on these games spoke out on Twitter being like, yeah, the series is fucking dead. Like it's not coming back. So, it makes sense because apparently the Olympics just keeps doing worse and worse every year. Like the viewership is down. Like people just don't care as much. So it makes sense that they want to avoid spending on who cares about Mario and Sonic anymore? Like put in NFTs, something that's even less relevant. But that's just how the executives think, I guess. Also makes your video on TMD a little more weird, foreboding. It's just I'm gonna collect that. Well, I guess you really could own every Mario and Sonic game now because they're fucking dead. And it sucks because I don't really have a high opinion on this series. I always think they're basically mediocre at best. Yeah. But it still sucks to have something that's actually worth a damn than NFTs, right? Like the esports stuff is cool. I'm happy the Olympics is kind of going more towards that. But NFTs are just such who cares anymore, bro? That was so 4 years ago at this point. Who cares? And, I would rather have a Mario Sonic game rather than NFTs. But it's still sad to see them go. Again, I don't really think the games are great necessarily, but it's still sad to see such a big era gone, right? It's been going on since 2008 or something. And just seeing it dead and never coming back is pretty sad. But honestly, it's kind of a fitting end that the last game was in Tokyo, right? The home country. So that's a little bit of a fitting ending, I guess. But still pretty sad in general.
Yeah, I have not played any of the Mario Sonic games since the original, even though I own a lot of them now. Most of the games are pretty much just copy and paste stuff. I know a lot of people really like the Winter games because that was
the Winter ones I heard,
the second game within the series, and they actually tried to do some other stuff like a story mode and actually add a rich amount of content there to keep not just casual players engaged, but also the more hardcore audiences in there. But I think the recent entries have just been like I said, copy and paste, just mini game stuff, maybe some surface level cool things here and there, but nothing that was necessarily anything on the level that people want a Mario and Sonic game to be at. So it is what it is. I still have a lot of fun playing the Mario and Sonic game at Dave & Buster's and shit.
Yeah, that's fun.
But sad that we will probably never see this series ever return. Maybe we will see them actually have a platforming game together. Who the fuck knows?
That would be nice.
That's always been people's dreams for many, many years now. And with this now gone, it is a end of an era, but maybe it was for good reason. We'll see. But yeah, it definitely sucks that the Olympics community is chasing after things that are just not that great or not that feasible. I would see in terms because comparing fucking Mario and Sonic to fucking NFTs in 2024. Come on,
yeah, who gives a shit, bro?
Next bit of sad news is Bungie has laid off 220 employees after they launched the final shape. So apparently, so I saw this thread on Twitter /X, the leader of player support. He wrote this a few months ago, and he thought he was also going to get laid off, but he is just posting this thread now. He wrote it after the release of that sort of last thing that they did for Destiny 2. And yeah, I mean, it's just a whole bunch of, from a Bungie statement, it's just, them we're trying to size down and, we're here for our, talent, colleagues, whatever. And I'm just why are we letting go all of these people, especially since after the release of the final shape was so successful? Is there really actually truly no room for you guys to keep them there? You guys are under Sony Entertainment now. It's is there really nothing you guys could do here? It just seems I feel every single month for this year, especially, there's been something going on with layoffs or closures or studios that just happen out of fucking nowhere. And obviously some people know about it, some people don't, but just the rug gets pulled under a lot of people within the games industry. And it just seems that this is just another one that unfortunately happened.
Yeah. This really sucks with Bungie. I know they're their path has been very hard the last few years, and I think them being bought out by Sony ended up being like worse for them than better. Like they obviously needed to be bought out because apparently like there's a bunch of he say she said at the moment, but apparently Bungie was going to go under without Sony's help. But Sony also wanted stuff in return. Like obviously they wanted Destiny to do well, but they also wanted Bungie to help consult with all their live service games that were coming out. But obviously this whole direction for Sony hasn't been going well. Like obviously like they had to cancel a bunch of stuff at Sony, like Last of Us Factions, and Concord is gonna do bad. Like that's not even like a secret at this point. And it seems like Sony was just really mad at Bungie for like not really like providing the guidance they thought they were going to provide. And even though Final Shape was really well received, it did sell less than Lightfall, which was their last expansion, which even, and apparently they were always in the red anyway, because Destiny is a really expensive game to make and they have a shit ton of employees. I think compared to other live service games, I don't think they just make as much money, and it's just really expensive to make that content because, Destiny is a really good looking game, but you can only support that for so long, right? Like other live service games, like, let's say WoW or Final Fantasy 14, those games don't look nearly as good as that and don't nearly have the amount of budget those games have, but they could be more profitable because they're a bit cheaper to make, right? So Destiny was always like such like basically making a big AAA game every like year, basically, and them being in the red the whole time, like it was obviously going to come back and bite them, but it's still awful. Like they had to, there was Riot news being like Destiny's not going to get any more expansions now. It's just going to get little content packs, which really sucks. Their Destiny 3 Jason Strider clarified by saying it was a Destiny spinoff called Payback. That was its code name. Also got canceled because of all of this. And obviously like a shit ton of employees got laid off as well. With like a bunch of leadership at Bungie, like a lot of people, like the higher ups at Bungie, I think, are gone, and a lot of people that were leading Destiny 2 also got laid off. So it's basically just awful like news. Like my brother was telling me all about this because he's a big Bungie fan in general. He loves Halo, he loves Destiny, been playing it since 1. So the vibe is just definitely bad right now, and I just hope all those people that got laid off find something, because always reading these like post layoff Twitter posts is always very depressing. So I really do hope they find something, and hopefully Destiny just survives, and just Bungie in general, because Bungie is just like on the ropes at the moment. Marathon hasn't been testing well internally either. They've just been eating shit at the moment. So hopefully things turn around, but we're just gonna have to see. The gaming industry has been very volatile at the moment. I think the explosive growth from COVID especially just wasn't natural for the gaming like space. And, a lot of executives saw that huge line go up because people were stuck at home being like, oh, the line always has to go up. But now that people are back to normal and they're done hiring a shit ton of people, things just got really bad because, it's like gaming is back to basically being normal amounts of money, but they want that same, profit margins from COVID times. And then, everything just kind of goes to shit when you don't expect that. So it's been a whole mess. Hopefully Bungie could pull through, and hopefully those employees could find like something, because like 200 something employees getting laid off is like terrible. And hopefully you just get something, because it ain't looking good. So yeah. But anyway, now we got even more sad news. Game Informer is shutting down. Yeah, this one just showed up. I believe right before we did the podcast, I just saw it on Twitter. Game Informer is shutting down. So, I've been subscribed. Well, I haven't been subscribed to Game Informer in a while, but, I always used to be subscribed. I remember always reading them at GameStop because, I think they were partnered with the GameStop, right? That was their parent company or something.
Yes.
So I would always read their new stuff. I remember reading the Alien Colonial Marines issue when that was a game that was coming out. Then it didn't come out till like 8 years later. I remember reading that. I remember reading all the classic PlayStation stuff from them and all that. Like it was always just a great time getting a Game Informer magazine. And lately, they honestly been doing great coverage. Like we talked about a lot of their stuff on this podcast. Like, when I think the Spider-Man 2 coverage and some of the other stuff we talked about, like they had really good insider stuff and really good just coverage in general about games that were coming out. And it is really sad to see them go. It basically just sucks ass too. Like, it was kind of one of the last things GameStop had that was like kind of worth a damn. Because I don't know if you've ever been to a GameStop recently, but it's been like very like it's just Funko Pops, bro. Like, I'm like,
yes.
Where's the games? Like the games are like basically at the end of the story now. Like it's just Funko Pops and plushies and shit. So it sucks that like a really high quality source of information and like just journalism is just kind of gone now. I'm sure there's gonna be an offshoot, a Game Informer. Like I'm sure some of the former employees are gonna make something because that usually is what happened at this point. But it's still sad to see them go. You know, it's been a huge part of my childhood, and just reading them now was always like a good read. So it's sad to see them like just gone too. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people hate Game Informer just because of various reasons, but I think the biggest one is the fact that it is under GameStop, and the CEO of GameStop is not a good person.
Yeah.
Just by judging by his Twitter profile when I looked at it before we started the show. But you know, Game Informer has not been itself for, I would say, a couple years, maybe even the past decade. I feel like ever since it was under GameStop, it sort of lost a lot of its sauce, if you will.
Right.
You know, a lot of people sort of fell off of there. And then on top of that, I feel like they didn't adapt to the whole internet landscape, because obviously people would read magazines often because it's like, this is the only way you're going to get this information. This is the only way you're going to see these new exclusive previews of games. And obviously Game Informer was still doing that online with the whole, you know, like you said, the exclusive stuff that they get with like Sonic Superstars or Spider-Man 2, etc., etc. So, you know, they still had a name within the industry that was able to get them this early stuff. It's just that it wasn't enough. And obviously the CEO of GameStop was definitely not, you know, helpful in that. I think them also attaching the GameStop subscription to a Game Informer subscription also might have put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, just because, you know, there's obviously some people out there that want that with their GameStop thing, with like the, you know, like 10% discount, whatever. But, you know, there's also other people out there that are like, I don't fucking want a goddamn, you know, magazine subscription, which is under goddamn Sandoval, because it's like, I don't really want to read this or whatever. But yeah, you know, it sucks that these employees, that these people, that they were notified literally today that this was going to happen. And, you know, hopefully that they are able to land back on their feet. You know, it definitely makes me, as a potential games journalist, you know, fucking scared about entering into a big organization like this. You know, it was fucking under GameStop. You know, even though GameStop, like you said, isn't what it was like when we were kids, you know, where it was actually about games and they had games everywhere, and, you know, they had, you know, a pretty good selection of things going on that wasn't just, you know, Funko Pops, collectibles, and all of this other stuff, which, you know, is fair to have, you know, like a decent amount of. But, you know, when it's like not games is the focus, that's when, you know, you start losing some stuff. Because I feel like within the past 5 years, we've heard about GameStop going under so many fucking times, and they're still around somehow. But it looks like this is like the first pillar of things falling over with Game Informer shutting down.
Yeah, again, as we move more into like a digital environment, it's gonna be harder to get like physical games at a store. I feel like even with with GameStop and Best Buy, you know, Best Buy right stopped selling like physical, you know, things that aren't games, but you know, I feel like it's only a matter of time before they just stop in general. So yeah, just very unfortunate to see all this stuff happening. You know, it's been a big shift, and not great. Mostly because like I think like IGN is like basically like a monopoly at this point with this stuff. Like obviously there's other games new outlets, but you know they start to absorb a lot of these gaming outlets, and you know IGN is just kind of becoming like a big old monopoly. And I feel like we probably need laws about that. You know, we keep seeing this more and more. This is like totally not about gaming, but like just like about like monopoly busting, because we have a lot of those now that are like they're not quite monopolies, but they might as well be. So yeah, not great at the moment. You know, and late stage capitalism and all that shit, but you know how that is. So
all right, so let's move on from there. We got Marvel Studios San Diego Comic-Con 2024. We got a lot of announcements to go through. And sort of things to discuss. There were obviously some other things that happened at San Diego Comic-Con, like the boys panel that I was very interested in, that I was following for a bit. But we're only going to talk about the Marvel stuff here. So I will go through each one, and then we will discuss each one one by one. And then we'll see obviously the final one with the Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, and Robert Downey Jr. returning as like the big discussion. So first up, Captain America: Brave New World. This is going to be the next Marvel movie that will be coming out on February 14, 2025. We know of Esposito's character. He's now Sidewinder, the leader of the Serpent Society, which was a former name for one of the Captain America movies, which is kind of crazy. And also, Adamantium will be formally introduced here. So, yeah, I mean, I recently saw the trailer at my Deadpool and Wolverine screening the second time. And funnily enough, do you know the part where Isaiah shoots goddamn President Ross.
Yeah.
They fucking cut that out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they cut that.
Yeah,
They cut that. That was so funny to me because I was watching it because like
Too soon.
yeah, because like it's like a good ass trailer, right?
Yeah.
So then when that gets cut out, I'm like, I talk to my friends. I'm like, yo, they like cut that out, and then they're like, oh shit, they did. So I'm not sure if they're gonna cut that out from the movie or anything, but. Anyways, I'm excited. It was very nice to go and see the cast sort of talk about the movie for a bit, and I'm excited to see the new Falcon. I forget the actor's name, but he was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, and apparently he is like the standout performance for this movie in particular. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm still really excited for this movie. Like, I think this is a good step in the direction for, like, I guess just Marvel just have another grounded sort of like Captain America movie. Because, you know, like we both said, like, I think Winter Soldier is one of our favorite MCU movies in general. I mean, the whole Captain America series has been, like, you know, really solid throughout. And I'm just excited to see a new one, you know, like I'm sure like Anthony Mackie's going to kill it as Captain America. And I'm excited to see all the other, you know, how everyone else does. So, you know, especially like fucking, what's his fucking face? Why am I forgetting his name?
Sam Wilson?
No, not Sam Wilson. The fucking president. Harrison Ford. Jesus.
Harrison Ford, yes.
Harrison Ford is going to be interesting as like Red Hulk and just him. I didn't know they cut that scene. That's very funny because I'm like, it took me a minute to be like, oh yeah, that's fucking wise. So,
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's looking pretty solid. I really hope they don't fumble it. You know, it's coming out really early next year. So, you know, February. Valentine's Day, actually. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. Like, hey, I want to watch Captain America.
Yes.
But yeah, it looks good. All right, so next we have the Thunderbolts. So this is going to be following, you know, all the characters that we got introduced of on like what's his fucking face, like the red guy. What was his Red Guardian, right? Yeah, like Red Guardian
from like the Black Widow movies. They also have
evil Captain America. I forgot his name. Elena or whatever her name is. I forgot what her name was.
Just a bunch of like random ass characters that they're throwing in together from various MCU projects. You have U.S. Agent in there and obviously Bucky Barnes. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting team up just because of the fact that a lot of these characters were sort of side characters or pieces of other shows that people really didn't fall in love with kind of thing. So it's going to be, like I said, very interesting to see how it all actually comes together. Obviously, Florence Pugh is in it, who has been a fantastic actress within the past year or so, and she has been making stellar roles, and obviously she is a standout according to her castmates. And the movie is going to come out May 2nd, 2025, so a few months after Captain America. So it looks like Disney and Marvel are sort of keeping to their word of like spreading everything out evenly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this movie is going to do, you know, because I feel like this one really relies on Disney Plus knowledge. And I feel like when they were making this movie like a long ass time ago, because we knew this was happening, I think they were really banking on people caring a lot more about that stuff than they do now. And also it's been so long, like, you know, like who really cares about a lot of these characters at this point? Because it's been so long, at least for the general audience. So yeah, I think this movie is going to be a very hit or miss if it actually like lands or not. Like I think Captain America is kind of sure to be pretty good, but this one I'm definitely like more of a wait and see type of thing because yeah, I don't know how this one's going to do necessarily.
All right, so now we got the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is the official title for it, which a lot of people are upset about, which is understandable. I think the First Steps is obviously them trying to sort of, you know, reinforce the idea that this is about like the space race kind of thing. They talked about the film sort of being like a retro's 1960s New York futuristic vibes. They are trying to, you know, obviously be like an actual family. Obviously, this is like, I think, the second time, maybe, I mean, technically third time that they're doing like a Fantastic Four movie. If you count like the one from way back in the day without Chris Evans or whatever. Or no, this is actually the fourth time because I just remember fucking Fan Four Stick or whatever the fuck. So yeah, they've done the Fantastic Four a lot of times. So this time people are very concerned about, and they did show like actual early footage of it. It's coming out next year, July 25th, 2025. They're just filming now. So a lot of people are concerned about that aspect because it's like Superman is supposed to release around that time as well, but they've been filming for a lot longer and they just finished filming. So they have a lot of time within the editing room, and if they have to do reshoots, they have like enough time for that. So obviously people are concerned about that. Me personally, I am also kind of concerned about the sort of timeline that they have going on here. It's like, okay, you guys are filming now. Are you guys actually going to be able to get everything done in time to make it look good, make it actually feel like an actual family like they're saying? I think the cast is fantastic. You know, obviously Pedro Pascal is fucking Mr. Fantastic. Put that into my veins every goddamn day. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, I think, is great as well. They seem to be very touchy-feely during the press tour so far at San Diego Comic-Con. But you know what? I'm down for it. You know, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm very skeptical about how well it's actually going to do.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I feel like Fantastic Four has always been like a very like hit or miss thing. I mean, I've never really cared about them too much. Like, obviously, like I watched the not Fan Four Stick, but the one before that, like, you know, the one that everyone knows. And I, you know, I'm like, it's okay, right? Like, I don't really care too much about them. So I'm hoping this really makes me care, because I know this is like, you know, a very important thing for Marvel, and I really do hope they land it. Also hope they like get Galactus right as well. I know some people are a little mad because like, isn't Galactus the size of a universe? Why is he only the size of a building? But I don't know. You know, sometimes the MCU does things differently, so you always gotta keep that in mind. You know, I still don't know why people complain about comic accuracy. Like, obviously it's important to have comic accuracy, but it's also like, you know, they're gonna do things differently to just how they've always done it. So people still complaining about that is a little weird. Like, you haven't understand that in the last like however many years the MCU's been a thing. So but anyway, I'll see when it actually comes out, or when the trailers start coming out, see how I actually feel about it. But I just hope it's good, because I think we really do need a good adaptation of the Fantastic Four and let it fit into the MCU as a whole, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'm definitely concerned about it, but I am looking forward to it just because of the cast and sort of the people around the project seem very excited about it. So I hope that excitement translates on screen, and we just get a good movie. That's all I'm really asking for. Not even just like a good MCU movie, just a good movie in general.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we can hope for the MCU. But yeah, I guess we can talk about the big news, being Avengers Doomsday. So this is going to be replacing the Kang Dynasty as Avengers 5, because, you know, all the stuff with Jonathan Majors is not happening anymore. So now we have Avengers Doomsday, which is going to be coming out May 2026. And then Secret Wars is still Secret Wars, but that's coming out, I believe it's the same day. No, it's new date of May of 2027, so a year after. And sort of like the big news is that Robert Downey Jr. is Victor Von Doom. And this is like sort of like the big thing that people are talking about, because they made it a big deal. So,
yes.
So, I mean, all right. I mean, I guess I'll share my thoughts about what I think about it, just as a knee jerk, because that was the first thing I saw on Twitter, which is like, he's like fucking, I almost said Iron Man. He's Dr. Doom. I feel like I'm like, there's either people that fucking love this or people that fucking hate it, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm more of a like, I'm gonna wait and see what they actually do with it, because you know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, he's just gonna be Dr. Doom, right? Like, don't worry about it. But then I'm like, oh, why would he be Robert Downey Jr. if they weren't gonna show his face, right? Like, it's definitely gonna be a plot point of like, oh, he is like Robert Downey Jr. Like he's Tony Stark, right? Like, that's gonna have to be a plot point in the MCU. They're not gonna do that. So you know, it kind of, you know, he's gonna be a variant, right? Like, there's no way he's not like a variant of like Tony Stark, just a different name, right? Like that's sort of like my thing, and I know people hate that. But that's the only logical way I could see them going, because like, you can't have that dynamic. Like, why get Robert Downey Jr. if you weren't gonna do that, right? Like, he's gonna show his face eventually. So, and if that's either a good idea or a bad idea, again, I'm gonna have to watch it or see a trailer, because I feel like I can't really judge it right now. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna let them cook and see how it gets handled, because right now I'm like kind of just on the fence of it. I'm gonna just see how it goes. It's cool to see him back. Like, you know, obviously I like Robert Jr. I'm happy they're not gonna make him just Iron Man again, like I'm happy he's doing a whole new role. Like I think that's good, because if they just brought him back as just Iron Man, that would have been very lazy. So this seems like at least a more of a creative decision, I guess.
Yes, if they fucking brought him back as just Iron Man, I think everyone would have been mad, because then it's just like, okay, he could play like a variant as like Iron Man, but like I feel like the ending of that character within the MCU is just so much stronger than, let's say, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like it was awesome to see him in that classic blue and yellow outfit. But then again, like they killed him off within Logan and everything like that. So I feel like within the MCU in particular, Iron Man was like the man. Like he was him. So for them to bring back RDJ is very much like Kevin Feige's like, yo, we need to fucking make this shit work, because we are fucked right now. We don't know what we're doing. All of our shit that we planned out at first, it's been good, but it hasn't been like up there yet. So I think this is their way to obviously get people back into theaters to actually be invested within the MCU again, because I'm not going to lie. Like when I saw this announcement, I was actually kind of excited. Like I'm going to be one of those dumbasses that is like, I actually kind of like this, because like obviously this is the fucking multiverse saga, and they're going to go all in with it now. The fact that they are bringing back RDJ as Victor Von Doom. And I hope that this isn't the only version of Doom, because obviously those people that love Dr. Doom are upset at this. Very much understandably so, because they want a faithful adaptation of that character, because the character is very, very good. I don't know much about Dr. Doom, but I understand why they're mad and upset about it. Obviously, there's people on Twitter that are just putting up like different comics of like Iron Man being Dr. Doom or whatever, which like isn't exactly what they think it is, because I did do my own research and I was like, okay, I might want to read something that is adjacent to that. But I know that like the MCU is going to do something fucking crazy and something wacky that like we probably won't even see it from like any of the comic book pages, if you will. But like I'm excited to see this. Obviously RDJ, he obviously went on and did Oppenheimer, and he won a fucking Oscar for that. Now that he has sort of proven himself that he can still act at that level, he's like, fuck it. Bring me back into the goddamn Marvel machine. Let me go and make that money real quick. Because, like, obviously, like, within the MCU, like, he still does, like, a fantastic job, but it isn't at the same level as, like, working with the likes of Cillian Murphy and sort of, that whole production of Oppenheimer, so...
Yeah, it is funny that he just went from like he got his Oscar and then he's just like, all right, I'm gonna do this now. So I am excited. Like, if I had to like lean on it, I'd be more excited than not excited. But I still feel like they could easily like make this really dumb and stupid, and I really hope they don't. Like I do hope they kind of nail it, right? Because I feel like the whole multiverse saga has been kind of a wash at the moment, because I feel like they haven't really been utilizing multiverse stuff too much. Like I feel like No Way Home was the best one that used it. But it's just No Way Home. Like, now obviously I love Loki. Like Loki was very good. I love that and how they did all that. But I was more like, obviously that touched more with the lore of the variants and stuff. But I feel like the ones that actually give you the fan service or whatever was like No Way Home, right? So, and I'm sure Deadpool does as well. Like I know Deadpool does a lot of that as well. So I'm hoping they play more with it in this one, because the whole Kang stuff was just like, people just didn't care. I liked him as a villain, but honestly, if you ask any general audience, they thought Kang was weak as shit. Like people did not really enjoy his character as much. It probably didn't help that he got defeated by ants. Like that probably didn't help a lot. Like, I know it was a variant, but it still didn't help his reputation. But yeah, also helps that Robert Downey Jr. is getting like 80 mil to do this as well. So also the Russo brothers are also directing both of these movies, and Robert Downey Jr. was like, I'm not going to do this unless they're directing it. So, and they're getting a big paycheck as well. So,
yes.
I do, I'm happy he's getting his bag, but I'm also like, 80 million is fucking insane for like one actor, man. That's like, like the size of, that's like the amount of money like a small country makes. Like what the fuck? So, but yeah, either way, he's getting his bag. The Russo brothers are getting their bag. Hopefully they could direct this movie. I know they had to deal with a lot of shit. Like, it can't be easy to write something where it's just like you had one plot point and then that shit's gone. I mean, I guess it's going the way of the comics anyway. Like things are just happening. So, but to pick up the pieces and like try to make something coherent is going to be kind of hard, because apparently they also said they were going to end the Kang storyline in Doomsday, which makes me think they're just going to murder them all like just like instantly. Like Doctor Doom just going to show up, just nuke them and then leave. So yeah, that's about what's going to happen, I think. But either way, I'm happy that the MCU feels like they have something. Like I feel like that, we talked about this before. I feel like the MCU was very like directionless for a while. Like they were just doing things to do things. Like, yeah, they had the Kang storyline, but I feel like only some movies kind of dealt with it, and everything else was kind of like doing other shit that didn't really matter. Because I feel like they're trying to set up Kang, they're trying to set up the new Avengers, they're trying to set up like a bunch of shit, and like none of it was kind of going well. So now I feel like we actually have like a solid direction to go towards. Like it's still messy because they have to deal with all the other stuff that was dropped, but I do feel a lot more confident about the MCU at the moment than I did like a year ago. So I'm hoping they kind of keep this momentum forward and like the new projects are actually good, because if they are, then they could really bring people back. And I think they have like a solid rogues gallery now. Like they have Doom, they could have Galactus, and they could probably have Magneto if they're going to bring X-Men into this, So like they have some stuff they could do now. So hopefully things work out, because, I still like Marvel. I still like the MCU. I just want them to like, just have a solid plan going forward, right? And this was kind of good insurance that they have stuff happening. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, just going on the point of like the whole Kang saga that we have so far, like I think introducing him within Ant-Man 3 was a good start, but I think the way it ended left a lot of people being like, oh, like he just got beat by Ant-Man, even though he was talking like all this shit about like, I've beaten many Avengers, I killed Thor, did all this other bullshit, he's saying all of these things, and then I feel like the story within that movie just didn't live up to the hype that he was. I think if Ant-Man was trapped in there, it would have left a better ending for that character, but it's a good thing that they reshot the ending and then got Ant-Man out of there, because otherwise they would have been fucked in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people were not invested into the Kang storyline, and obviously with the whole idea of like variants and different versions of the character, the whole Loki show takes place with a different version of Loki who knows how the main sacred timelines Loki ends, so like people love that. Obviously with the whole RDEJ thing, it's very different, because it's like, it's not just like, they haven't confirmed that it is like a Tony Stark variant, but obviously people are sort of putting that together. It just sucks that RDJ is playing a version of Doctor Doom. I hope, like I said earlier, that there is a different version of Doctor Doom that is very much faithful. And also a big point that people are pointing out is the fact that it has to be a Romani actor. I think that is also like a big thing, because obviously representation fucking matters. So the fact that we are getting another version of Doctor Doom that it is not within that sort of box that people want it to be in, I think is very understandable, because obviously, like I said, representation matters. And hopefully that when he does get introduced in the future within the MCU again as like an actual like proper baddie for the Fantastic Four, that it all works out, because the Fantastic Four are also going to be appearing in both of these Avengers movies. So yeah, with the whole $80 million thing, that is like absolutely ridiculous. I think that there is no actor on Earth who needs, or one single person on Earth who needs that much money to star in a single or even two films or whatever, because it's just like, what are you gonna do with that money, bro? Like, I get it, like, that's like generational wealth. Then like your great grandkids don't even have to fucking worry, like they don't have to worry about shit. But at the same time, it's like, is that really reasonable? Because like I've seen people point out that like certain movie budgets are like that fucking much money. And obviously like if you're hiring these actors and these directors as well for like that much money, how much is this fucking budget, Marvel? Like how much are you actually pumping out here? Because then it comes back to this idea that I have where it's like, okay, Kevin Feige is obviously hitting the fucking emergency button. They're like, okay, we need to bring RDJ back because he obviously brought a lot of people into theaters. And then he also pulled his card where he's like, all right, I want the Russo brothers. If I'm gonna be doing this Doctor Doom bullshit, bring them back to it. That's like, all right, fuck it. Well, they're also gonna be asking for a shit ton of money, and that's just for that trio in particular. You also gotta hire all of the other actors that are probably gonna appear within Secret Wars. You're also gonna hire the fucking VFX people that are gonna be making like $15 an hour or whatever the fuck. It's like, you guys, like, there's other ways to allocate these resources to make the movie better. I think. Obviously, like, if that's what RDEJ wanted, then, like, that's what RDJ wanted. But, like, that level of greed is, like, insane to me. And I hope that it all pans out. That's the only thing that I can hope, that it all pans out. I hope that these fucking people that are actually working behind these scenes aren't killing themselves for this movie, because if we don't make this 2026 deadline, it's fine. Just fucking delay the movie, Marvel. Like, because like I said, this is their emergency button. If they fuck this up by bringing RDJ and the Russo brothers back, I feel like a lot of people are just gonna not give a shit about the MCU anymore.
Yeah, I do feel like this is like the last Hail Mary. Like, this is like kind of like if this doesn't pan out, if this doesn't get people in seats or like get invested back into the MCU, like I definitely feel like Disney is going to look into being like, okay, we're going to have to like cut this shit down. Like we're probably going to get a Marvel movie like maybe every like 3 years, which for some people might be a great thing, but you know, obviously you don't want to see it happen. So
yeah,
but we're going to have to wait and see like how all this pans out. Again, they're putting so much money into this, and yeah, and you know those people behind the scenes are getting like $2 an hour. So like, I don't know how true this is, but I saw on Twitter someone's just like, oh, I worked on like the new Black Panther movie, and it made like $15 an hour. Yeah, so I got no source on that or whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me either. So, but yeah, hopefully this emergency button, because you know people are saying, oh, this reeks of desperation, and it kind of does.
Yes, it does.
So, like, you know, they're obviously doing it because they know that like, this is an actor that will get people to watch the MCU again. But I just don't want it. I don't want him to be Tony Stark, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, why get him if you're just gonna like do stuff? That's why I'm afraid they're gonna just make him evil Tony Stark, and I really hope they don't. Like, I want him to act totally different. Like, I want him to not act at all like Tony Stark. Like, because he's Victor Von Doom, he's not Tony Stark. Like, I want him to act like it. So, but I guess we'll see. If I see like one fucking quip of him being like doing Iron Man shit in the trailer, I'm gonna lose it, because I'm like, that's he's just Iron Man. So yeah, I guess we'll see. You know, it'll be cool to see him flex his acting muscles a little bit too, to be like, you know, doing something, you know, completely different within the MCU, right? Like, obviously he was good in Oppenheimer or whatever, but you know, in the MCU we only know him as Tony Stark, so it'd be cool to see him like do something completely different. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. You know, it's a very interesting time in the MCU, and this is really gonna make or break the whole thing, I think, because you know I think they've already burned a lot of goodwill after Endgame with all this other bullshit that's been happening. So I think this is like sort of like the last chance to get people to get really invested into MCU again. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a lot of shit going on here, and I hope that it all pans out for all parties. Obviously, you know, this is reality that we are living in, so some things are going to fall through the cracks. But I hope that when we do get to Doomsday being in theaters, that it is actually received well, and that they were able to fulfill their promise and sort of hopefully save the MCU, if you will. And then afterwards, the next phase, I hope that they don't fucking rush things, that they actually have a clear plan of like who they want their villain to be and sort of what this next arc is. Because let's be fucking for real, like the first 10 years of the MCU leading up to Endgame, a lot of that shit wasn't planned, but that was like the best of it, because it was like, okay, like they were just making these, you know, movies for like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, etc., and then they had Avengers, and that was a surprising big hit for them. And then they saw that like, oh, like Avengers did well, so that meant Iron Man 3 did well, Thor 2 maybe not so much, but then Winter Soldier came out, etc., etc. So then it was like a domino effect for them, where they saw that like, oh, if we build up these movies properly, we could get more people to invest into theaters and, you know, going into the whole cinematic universe experience. And, you know, like people will say that like the MCU and like superhero movies are bad for cinema. I think that is like the complete opposite, because the amount of people that I saw at like my local AMCs that I don't fucking see ever going into Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like, okay, yeah, you probably haven't been here in like months or like even like a year because you want to see this movie. Okay, yeah, like that's great. That's fine. I think that it is totally okay to see those certain movies that you want to see, but at the same time, like it can open up other people, like younger people. Like I noticed that there's a lot of younger people that are going to theaters more just to see like whatever, you know, like Twisters or, you know, Trapped just came out with M. Night Shyamalan, you know, even though like those movies aren't, you know, like as popular or like as enticing, you know, those are still like good movies and that'll keep people in these seats and entertained throughout the whole thing or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, people can hate on superhero movies all they want. They're basically what keeping movie theaters like relevant, like a lot of the time, you know, like it's, you know, you have to admit like that, like a lot of people just go, like myself, just to see superhero movies, just because I feel like I want to make more time to see a superhero movie than just like Twister. I'll just wait until that's like on digital or whatever, right? So I know I'm part of the problem as well. Like I know those movies don't make as much because of me, but that's just reality. Like a lot of these movie theaters wouldn't exist without superhero movies. So you really just have to like be like, yeah, I hope these movies do well because then we just won't have theaters anymore, right? And I don't think we want to live in a world that doesn't have that because even though a movie theater experience is like way too fucking much money at this point, it's still like a fun experience, right? Like I still love going to it. So, so hopefully these movies are good. So, theaters could stay up and, we could just live our lives. And I just want the MCU to be good again, right? Like I just want it to be like something I could be like, again, there's a lot of good movies in Phase 4 that I liked, but, it hasn't been like insane, right? So I'm hoping Phase 5 really gets things back on track. I don't even know what to call phases anymore. Like there's no phases. Like we were in like the oh shit phase last time. Now we're in the okay. Now we're back phase. Hopefully, so hopefully things shake out well. I want to see Doctor Doom get some cool development. And I just don't want evil Tony Stark, and we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm sure that, Fantastic Four is going to tease something with this version of Doctor Doom, and then it's going to play into other stuff, Unlike with Thanos, we were teased that ever since Avengers 1, and then they were building that up slowly throughout certain movies or whatever. But now, here, obviously, we're in the fucking late stages. So they're kind of just like, all right, now we got to, like, fix this and, like, try to implement it as soon as possible. So hopefully it works out, like you said, with the whole like theater thing, I feel like if it wasn't for Spider-Man No Way Home, movie theaters might be fucking closed at this point, if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, that's my last little rant on this whole discussion. I'm excited to see RDJ back and also the Russo brothers, but I just hope that they all stick the landing because, it would be maybe a perfect timeline for some people to see the MCU actually be dead. So...
Yeah, I mean, some people are hoping for the downfall, but I hope not. I hope it does continue, and I hope that they know what they're doing. Like, they must know that bringing back Tony Stark somehow would be a bad move because it's like, takes away a lot of character development or whatever. So hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully it's just Victor Von Doom, and then they like do some little twist or whatever. But I guess we'll see once it actually comes out.
Also, these are comic book movies. These characters always come back from the dead one way or another. So
yeah, except Chris Evans is like, no, I'm not doing this again.
Chris Evans is like, die.
No, I don't think I will. Shit. Yeah. So.
But is there anything else you'd like to add, Damian?
No, that's about everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 143. You can listen to us 2 weeks from now with another episode. I don't know where I was going.
All right, see ya.